electro house has always been a staple as a subgenre of EDM, but it's been having a sort of resurgence lately, with artists such as Brooks, Blinders, and many more creating hit track after hit track. But of those artists, one of the most notable electro house producers seems to be Julian Jordan. The 25-year-old superstar DJ and producer, most known for his early collaborations with Martin Garrix and early releases with Spinnin' Records, has really cemented his name within the genre of electro house with hit tracks such as Tell Me the Truth, Old School, Next Level, and many more. His sound can best be described as rhythmic focused, hard-hitting, and full of energy. Julian Jordan also loves to incorporate his drumming background into his music, which is why we tend to hear complex rhythms and unique drum patterns and fills. In today's video, we'll be going over how I attempted to recreate his unique style of music in Logic Pro. For this track, I'll be taking inspiration from Julian's song Bad Boy, featuring the rapper Titus. One of the things I love about this track is the way that Julian Jordan blended the elements of both rap and house into one track. So for this track, I'll be using two hip-hop samples that I got from Cymatics and use them to build the track around.
Suicide doors on the foreign import. Flooded out the AP with the VVS diamonds.
I'll then chop up these samples into various tracks and add some reverb, delay, and some OTT compression. The layout of this track is simple. I start out with an 8-bar intro, go into an 8-bar build, and then have a 16-bar drop. The intro of this track needs to feel a bit like a build, but without the build-up drums. This way we start out with a lot of energy and start rising towards the climax of the track. To do this, I used an impact sample, some claps that play on every beat, the vocal sample as shown before, and an 808 bass that gives our track some rhythm. Moving on to the build, it's very similar to what we had before, but I started introducing other bass layers that we're going to hear in the drop by slowly bringing them in using a high cut from a single band EQ. I also threw in a riser loop, a drum build from Cymatics, and a 1-bar drum fill before the drop. Starting off with our drums, I used a simple 4-on-the-floor drum pattern with our kick and claps and added drum fills every 4 bars, and also introduced open and closed hi-hats after the first 8 bars. I also added some synth fills every 4 bars as well so that we could have some other interesting sounds besides our melody. Now, the melody of this track is pretty unique in the fact that our bass line is also going to serve as our melody. When we take a look at a lot of Julian Jordan's work, we see that he really brings out that electro house style by not overdoing things. In other words, less is more. Rather than having tons of leads, chords, and other elements playing at once, he focuses on creating large sounds that'll fill up the frequency range and produce that electro house style that he's known for. In order to do this with our bass line, I stacked 4 different layers that each have a unique character and job. We have a sub bass to fill lower frequencies, a treble layer that isn't really a bass sound but fills up the higher range of frequencies, and 2 mid-bass sounds that give our bass line that gritty character you hear in a lot of his tracks. I also added a reverse one-shot of the bass line that fills up empty space and also ties in phrases. Next, I added a pluck sound that's similar in style to ones you'll hear in a lot of Julian Jordan's tracks, and we bring that in after the first 8 bars of the drop. I was able to make this pluck sound using Serum, and then I added an EQ, compressor, and some stereo spread to really make it stand out. Once the drop is over, I sequenced a synth pattern that'll give our track some more variation, and then pretty much kept everything the same but tweaked a few notes here and there. And that is pretty much gonna be it for this track. If you enjoy these types of videos, let me know what artists you'd want to see next. But for now, here's the final result.
Suicide doors on the